Hi guys, welcome back, and this time around I'm bringing you yet another mega comparison, but it's a mega comparison of hybrids, the majority of them are hybrids, yeah, anyway, and their price range is between $200 and $500. There are here some models which have already been available, obviously, but there are three models here which are relatively new, and those are the ones that, let's say, the focus will be mostly implemented on, and then the remainder serve as a basis of comparison, a basis of having an idea of what else is available at similar prices, so that you guys can obviously then make your choices. Anyway, the focus on of this review will be, like I said, on three models: the ZIIGAT Thieaudio Estrella, the ISN Audio H60, and the Soundrhyme SR9. $299, $299, $299. So each one of them, or each one of these three, have all got the same price. Different configurations. The Soundrhyme is a 1+8 hybrid, and then the Estrella and the H60 are both 2+4 hybrids. So 2 dynamic drivers and 4 BAs. The dynamic drivers are being mounted or being used in a clamshell quasi-isobaric setup. Let's say that, and that's it. As for the rest of the stuff here, let me just quickly take you through it. Obviously, having the Estrella, it made sense to have here the Dos Cinco and the Cinco Tres, because they are 2+3, so they have 2 dynamic drivers plus 3 BAs. But it also was worthwhile then having here as well the Arete, which is another collaboration IM. Obviously the SR9, like I've mentioned. I've got here the the Cadenza 4, which is a 1+3. I've got here the Pilgrim from ISN, again a 1+3. I've got over there the Simgot, the EM10, 1+1+8. Next to that, an IM that not many people know about, which is the Rose Techniques QTX. Then on the top corner over there, another 2+6, which is 2+4, my apologies, which is the Blessing 3. Underneath at the Hype 4, which is again another 2+4. And then here in the front, I've got the Tensiomirada X, which is a 2+4+1. And then finally the Dunu DaVinci, which is a 2+4 as well. So as you can see, the majority of the IMs are 2+4s. It's a configuration that's become quite popular now in 2024, the rest are slightly older or using more basic configurations. Anyway, let's get this started, because this is going to be a big one. So let's get this started so that you guys can understand what it is that I want to convey about these IMs. Okay, as for the packaging, be it the Soundrhyme, or be it the Estrella, or be it the ISN H60, I'm not going to elaborate too much. They all, are decently accessorized. I mean, this is the carrying case for the Estrella, which is a carrying case that we've already seen in the other products from ZIIGAT. This is the carrying case for the Soundrhyme, and my apologies, this is the carrying case here for the H60. So each one of them brings a decent carrying case. Cable wise, I would say that probably the one that has the nicest cable, and the one that measured the best actually in terms of its cable, is the H60. The second place going for the Soundrhyme, and then the cable of the original cable of the ZIIGAT being the last placed. And then in terms of tips as well, definitely without question, the one that's the most versatile, the one that comes with the biggest variety, are the tips on the H60. So accessories wise, you can't really complain, can't really point anything as a negative aspect. They all are well accessorized. They all have decent quality accessories for the price point. in terms of their let's say built and how how they've been put together, I'm going to start here with the Estrella. I'm using an XINHS cable. The shell is a similar shell to what we've seen in the Dos Cinco and in the Cinco Tres and in the Arete. It's a dark colored shell, beautifully designed faceplate, nice quality resin, fits beautifully. I'm using the DaVinci velvet tips on it. Really nothing to say. I mean, build quality is what is to be expected at this price point. Fit is fine as well, like I mentioned. I've opted for the DaVinci velvet because these were the ones that just combine the best with the Estrella, at least in my case, and with my ears and with music that I like listening to. As for the ISN, the H60, it's a lighter shell. The shell feels slightly lighter than the shell of the Estrella. Again, it's got that same 2+4 configuration. You can actually, because the shell is transparent, you can actually see how things are laid out inside. Once again, really not much that can be pointed out as a negative aspect in terms of the build quality. It's a beautifully done shell. Resin fits beautifully. I'm using the stock tips, as you can see. I'm also using the stock cable because although I did try a different cable, it was fine. It performed more than adequately, so I saw no need to change the cable out, to be honest. And again, the cable is always an issue that generates a lot of controversy, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, fit, build, again, once more, nothing to be said there. Finally, the Soundrhyme. The Soundrhyme is the one that has the shell that looks let's say, excuse me, I wouldn't say the cheapest because that's a strong word, but it's the shell that, although the shell quality is nice, I would have liked to have seen a faceplate design that was a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more matching the actual eye. I don't know, this is going to be a strong word what I'm going to say, but it just looks cheap. And you know, being again an IM with so many drivers inside, it's actually the one that's the lightest. It looks, it feels very flimsy. While you pick up the H60 and you can feel it, there's some weight there, and the same thing goes for the Estrella. The Soundrhyme is the one that actually feels the flimsiest in hand. Okay. None of them have got any sort of tuning switches or anything of the sort, which is a pity because I mean, the SR9, I would consider it an upgrade over the SR7, and that had some tuning switches, and actually it would have been something that would have, in my opinion, benefited the SR9 slightly, but that's something which I'll discuss further in a few minutes when I get more into detail. So, build quality, accessories, all of that, I think, you know, I'm not going to say top marks, but adequate, or rather what to be expected for the price. Okay, that's reality, with the Estrella and the H60 being the two standouts, let's put it that way. Especially the way that the shell on the Estrella has been done, that speckle on the actual shell, and the color that they've chosen, very, very, very nice. It looks like a way more expensive product than what it actually is. Okay. Let's jump into the sound, because that's what we want to know. Okay. We're gonna start here with the sound. We're gonna start here with the Estrella. The Estrella, the first thing that, or the two aspects that immediately catch your attention when you put the Estrella in your ears is how very, but very well executed is the bass, and how also the upper mids and treble have been in the same way, executed in the same manner. There's loads of twinklies and sparkles, loads of detail, and you don't have to go through many songs to immediately pick up on that. I mean, you listen to some of the songs that I like listening to, like House of Groove from Eugene Groove, and immediately you can see the bass on here is phenomenal. Really well executed. When you look at the graph, like I'll show it to you in a couple of minutes, you will see that yes, maybe you could consider this to be one of the signatures here that's perhaps a little bit more V-shaped because of this extreme of bass and then upper frequencies. But the reality is, when you listen to it, the balance that's overall been obtained is very well done. And you know, you can definitely see that work was put into tuning this IM. It wasn't just a throwing together of parts and hoping that things work out in the end. No, there was definitely a lot of work put into this, and for that I commend both ZIIGAAT and ZIIAudio. This ultimately is what I say, or I've said already a few times. If there are going to be collaborations, then let that collaboration be a true reflection of not only what the company is capable of doing, but of what that said collaborator is also capable of doing. And instead of just churning out collaboration after collaboration, where you can definitely see that very little or no effort was done on either end to launch a product which differentiates itself, no, that's pointless. Do something like this. This is what it's all about. This definitely, ZIIAudio has ticked the right boxes in that aspect, much like ZIIGAAT as well. Any one of his collaborations, be it the DaVinci or be it the Chopin, they're all, you can see that work was put into it. It wasn't just of put parts together, churn it out, make some money, and that's it, and hope for the best. No, they've all been very well designed, very well tuned, and that's why then the results speak for themselves. Okay, so those two aspects, as I was saying, are the ones that immediately jump out. Very well executed bass. It's full. It's got more than enough rumble, more than enough ability to go deep and fetch whatever you desire in terms of deep bass. Although having said that, some of you might think, oh, it's a bass head IEM. No, I wouldn't consider it a bass head IEM, because the bass that we have here is ample, but it's a very high quality bass. So you can listen to anything from, let's say, Playa Blanca Dream by Buddha Bar, or you can listen to, like I was saying, stuff like Memory of You, or you can listen to This Feel from Vince the DJ. So you can listen to a wide variety of genres, and the Estrella will always be capable of reproducing the bass of those songs in an adequate manner. Maybe for those that are not bass lovers, you might consider it's a little bit excessive. Personally, no. Personally, I think that the bass here does true justice to the songs that at least I like listening to, and I didn't in any way find it lean or anything of the sort. Mids, again, extremely well executed, very organic, very realistic, very true. Yeah, they've got a high degree of musicality, and I think that, again, the mids, they sound like this because of this balance that somehow they've been able to strike between the lower frequencies and the higher frequencies. And then finally the upper mids and the treble. Like I said in the beginning, loads of detail. But I mean, there's, you notice the difference, or you notice how much detail this IM is capable of actually putting out. When you take, for example, let's say you've got the Simgot in your ears, and you're listening to it, and okay, very nice. It's a very nice kind of neutralish type of sound, and you take it out, and immediately you pop in the Estrella, and it's like, oh my God, it's a whole different world of detail. The resolution, the layering that you have. It's nothing. I'm not taking away anything from the Simgot, mind you. Nothing. And that's one thing that I want to make perfectly clear just before I carry on. There's none of these IMs are tuned in a bad manner, and many of them are. There's more than one IM here that I would choose. Definitely. So there is here what I consider different tastes of, like I sometimes say, of different nuances of a vanilla ice cream, or different nuances of a chocolate ice cream. That's what you get here with all these IMs. None of them is done in a bad way. I mean, the Simgot and the person that will appreciate the Simgot will most likely consider the Estrella just too much, because it's definitely a way more energetic IM than the Simgot. The Simgot is a long listening IM, just very chill, very relaxed. It's got that nice gliding style of bass, with a very smooth progressive Penon. The extension past 8K or past 9K is the right amount of extension without it sounding too excessive. So everything just comes across very, very smooth, very relaxed. Over here, things are done, with a little, it's an understatement, with a lot more energy. But the problem is, when you find IMs which are a lot more energetic, to make them be a lot more energetic but still maintain that elegance in the execution is something which only very few brands or very few tuners are capable of doing. And the reality is that ZIIGAAT was able to hit the nail right on the head here. I mean, the elegance with which it gives us all of this high energy is amazing. Jumping into in terms of the instruments and how they come across, and vocals and so on and so forth. Instruments come across beautifully. I found maybe once or twice, and it could have maybe actually been down to the actual recording that I was listening to. I found that some wind instruments, some trumpets sounded just a little bit on the edge. Okay, again, it could also be down to me and my ears as well, but nothing that honestly I can consider offensive or anything of the sort. This is almost more of a nitpick than necessarily a criticism. Okay. Ultimately, I'll be honest, I prefer to have that extra energy and then just turn down the volume a little bit if it's too much, than to have an IM that, however much volume I give it, it just doesn't bring out that extra, the detail that sometimes is there. Okay. So in terms of vocals, I would say that the standout here are the male vocals. That's for me personally. Although female vocals, again, nothing that is an offense or anything of the sort. I mean, something like "I Can't Make You Love Me" by Bonnie Raitt, beautiful, really, really nice. Let me see another one here that could be used as an example as well for you guys to understand what I'm saying. In a Sentimental Mood, again, from Cecil Norby, beautiful execution, beautiful. I mean, you can really get that sensation of her being present almost there. Okay. La Belle Dame Sans Regrets or Sans Remorse from Chris Botti, in terms of instrumentation and how guitars come across, and beautiful. I mean, honestly, nothing that can be pointed as a negative. It's without a doubt one of the best IMs in this whole selection here of IMs in that aspect. So, resolution, detailed retrieval, vocals with the males being the standout. All of them. I mean, nothing can be put as a complaint. In terms of the timbre and tonality, again, very nicely done. But in that aspect, there are IEMs here that I just prefer their timbre and their tonality ever so slightly. And the reason why I'm saying this is, this is my personal opinion, when you have this much energy in the upper registers, and however well it is executed, which is the case here in the Estrella, sometimes with certain songs and with with how that IM will fit you, and I felt it, maybe some of you won't feel it, you get the feeling that the timbre and the tonality can sound, and like I got the feeling here with the Estrella, can sound just a little bit too pushed, too overemphasized, if I'm perhaps finding the best way to convey this. It for example, I'll give you the example of two IEMs that in that aspect for me just have a nicer timbre and tonality for me personally. The H60 and the DaVinci. Okay, in terms of the timbre and tonality, the H60 and the DaVinci, they just have a more agreeable tonality and timbre to my listening choices. Okay, So there you have it, guys. I mean, there's really not much that I can point as a negative, because it isn't. There isn't nothing negative. They are just minor nitpicks, things which are probably just more my own experience with the IEM, because of the way it fits with me, and because of the music that I like listening to, than necessarily things which have been done wrong from the design point of view, and that many of you will pick up on it. I can actually do the comparison now, a brief comparison between the Estrella and all of them, and then I do the same thing with regards to the H60 and then with the Soundrhyme. Okay, comparing the Estrella with its siblings from ZIIGAT. They all have slight different nuances, like I was saying. The 5.3 is definitely the smoother, the more laid back. The DaVinci has got that little extra amount of energy in the bass and in the treble, which just personally satisfies me that little extra little bit more. And the Arete again has got just a little bit more extra energy in the upper mids and treble. Let's say the two that for me are the ones I would pick personally are these two, the Estrella and the DaVinci, and then the Arete, and then the 5.3. The Arete, there's nothing wrong with it, mind you. It's a 1+4. It sounds fantastic. It's been very well tuned, but I feel that the DaVinci is capable of doing everything that it does and bring to the table just that little extra amount of weight that I personally prefer. Okay. And the same thing goes here for the Estrella. The Estrella is just capable of giving you, and I'm saying these three because these are the ones that have the most energy up in the upper mids and in the treble. These are the things. These are the three that will be the most similar. And this one again, it's the one that has the most detail, the most resolving ability of the three, and so it just stands out. Funny enough, going back to that timbre and tonality issue that I was just mentioning a second ago, the DaVinci is capable of edging out the Estrella for me in terms of the timbre and the tonality, and I think it's maybe down to the fact that because it's not as energetic up top as the Estrella, it just feels more realistic, more organic, more just not much. It's just a little bit more organic, more old school. Okay, so that's that there. Compared, with something like the I'm not going to mention the SR9 for now, and I'm also not going to mention the H60. But compared to the cadenza, two totally different presentations. I mean, the cadenza is again something along the lines of a 5.3. It's all about being very smooth, very chilled. There are two different styles of IEM. The price is almost similar. I mean, that's $249, $299. There's a $50 price difference here. Yes, that's got one less dynamic driver, one less BA, smoother bass there for those that are maybe a little bit treble sensitive. Definitely more bass here, definitely more details, more technical capabilities here, while maintaining still a very high degree of musicality. Compared to the Pilgrim, the same situation, although that's a little bit more energetic than the Cadenza 4. So again, not similar, but there's things here which kind of trade blows with each other. But the Estrella is ultimately the one that probably will stand out and will satisfy the most. I very much like the Pilgrim, mind you. I very, very much like the Pilgrim. I think the Pilgrim is again a very much underrated IEM. EM10, loads of drivers, fantastic bass, mind you. Great timbre and tonality as well. Very, very, very nice timbre and tonality. And although you got all of those BAs, the way that Simgot has been able to tune the EM10 is in a very chilled, relaxed manner, and that then means that you don't have any of that BA timbre that could be a problem or any of the sort. Yes, it is $419. It is a little bit. Well, it's $120 more expensive than the Estrella. Is it better than the Estrella? It's a different presentation than the Estrella. Okay, it's a completely different way of doing things, more relaxed in terms of the upper mids and treble, not as detailed as here the Estrella, but on the opposite end of things, maybe less fatiguing the EM10 than the Estrella could possibly be for some. You know, if you are going to be a little bit treble sensitive, then this could maybe be a little bit fatiguing. Bass wise, although this has got more bass quantity than the EM10, the bass quality is very similar. Compared to the QTX, it's not on the same league as the Estrella. Let's put that out there straight away and make sure it's understood. It's a 1+6. Yes, it costs about $400 as well. What it does bring to the table is an accessories package which is absolutely surreal. Tips, the cable is a good quality cable. It brings a dongle. So in terms of accessories, it's probably the one that's the best equipped here. And in that aspect, then the value obviously is there. Sound wise, that's a more, let's say, run-of-the-mill kind of sound, well done, well executed. But the Estrella, you know, it is a step above, definitely a step above. So it's a better IM compared to the Blessing 2. I mean, Estrella, it's as simple as that. The Blessing 2, if maybe the upper mids and treble were just a little bit less energetic, maybe then they would have kept up better with the bass and would have made for more agreeable tuning. But as it is, it's not that it's a bad tuning, it sounds fine. I've never disliked the Blessing 3, mind you, but the Estrella is a better IM and cheaper as well. Hype 4, $399, it's $100 more than the Estrella. Bass wise, very identical. I would probably say the Hype 4 maybe just edges out overall in the quality of the bass, the Estrella, but I mean, this is give or take there. Mids, very nicely executed. It's in the upper ranges where things are a little bit more relaxed. Again, it's not worse, not bad. It's just a different way of doing things. Probably more of a more sensible choice for those that are treble sensitive. While there on the Estrella, you know, if treble doesn't bug you and you like your details, I mean, let me just say this: on the Estrella, almost the feeling you get is that you have ESTs, okay, but very well executed ESTs, mind you, not just throwing the ESTs in there. No, very well executed ESTs. So I wouldn't say that the Hype 4 is an inferior IEM to the Estrella. It's just a different taste, very much like we've already seen on some other IEMs here. On the Thieaudio Mirai, the 10th anniversary, the big thing that the Thieaudio Mirai really edges out here, the Estrella, and fair enough, yes, it is $100 more expensive than the Estrella, is that it's got those tuning switches, and the tuning switches do work, and they work very well. So it gives us different flavors of bass, which are phenomenal. The bass in the Thieaudio Mirai is a better bass than on the Estrella, but an IEM isn't just about the bass, it's about how everything comes together nicely. And then in the upper registers, the mids, well executed, but the upper mids and treble could be a little bit more energetic, a little bit more detailed, and that's where the Estrella just shows its colors and definitely takes the lead. Again, I'm not going to say one is better than the other, one is worse. There are two different flavors of doing sound. More organic, more old school here, more detailed, more technical with a high level of musicality. Dunu, DaVinci, one of my favorite IEMs of all of these IEMs here, and probably for me the one of two IEMs one of the three IEMs that I would choose from this whole group. Okay, the reality is I actually like more than just three, but if I had to just bring it down to three IEMs that I would choose, that would definitely be one of them. The bass is, in my opinion, beautifully executed. The way that the mids are then done with that second dynamic driver helping out in the transition from the mid bass into the mids, and then very well tuned, and I love it. I think it's definitely definitely the best IEM that Timmy from ZIIGAAT has done so far. So fantastic. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. They are equally very good. To my ears, they sound absolutely phenomenal. Okay, got two more IEMs here, which I'm going to talk about them now, and then I'll compare them here with the Estrella. Let's get the Soundrhyme out of the way. The Soundrhyme, the SR9 1+8, it's got an 8mm dynamic driver, and then the remaining BAs are, well, some of them are nulls, some of them are not nulls, but the dynamic driver is an 8mm, and that actually surprised me, because when you listen to the here to the SR9, you are quite surprised by how meaty the bass is. You could say that this it gave me this is not gonna, I didn't bring it out here, and I was trying to avoid not talking too much about it. This kind of is let's say a Performer 8 with that extra amount of bass that you got on the Performer 5, and with a upper mids and treble which are not as polished. That's kind of I think the best way I can describe it, and I was honestly trying to avoid mentioning the Performer 8. Having said that, and I've just mentioned, the bass is perfect, mids are very well done. It's the transition of the upper mids into the treble, that area there, depending on what tip you chose, you will then pick up a little bit on that BA timbre, which is a pity, and you will pick up on a slight harshness, a slight, and mind you, this is me nitpicking, and obviously me saying that when I have heard other IEMs here which are of the same price and do that better, where you don't pick that up. Case of the Estrella, for example. So tip choice will definitely make or break your experience with the SR9. I opted for these 10i5 foams because they just worked phenomenally well, and they were able to lower a peak that was happening in the frequency range in that area of the upper mids and treble quite significantly, and that with the silicone tips I could pick it up. By introducing the foams, it went away. What are then we left with in terms of the rest of the sound? You know, like I said, great bass, nicely executed, nothing to be said really, especially when you consider it's an 8mm driver. Very well executed mids, nothing much to be said once you've chosen the right tips. And then the treble, I think the treble is the less standout feature of this IM. Technically as well, I would have liked a little bit more soundstage. I would have liked a little bit more that feeling of space, which obviously you get here on the Estrella, and it's down to that, also to the fact that it has that extra energy, like I said up top, which does help, you know, give you that extra sensation of airiness, but not a deal breaker. I would say that the SR9 falls along the lines of, for example, the QTX from Rose Techniques. It's a well-built IM, sounds good, you know, non-offensive, and will definitely have its crowd. It will definitely have its people that will like it. For those that are a little bit more nitpicky and a little bit more demanding, maybe then you know, for the same price you can pick up things which are better. I mean, like I said, Estrella, the Dunu, the H60 are better IMs, but there's not much that I can honestly criticize with regards to the SR9. So there we have it. I mean, we know that technically it's not on the same league as something like the Estrella. It's an inferior IM in that aspect. Mids, just mids, yes, very capable with regards to the mids here of the Estrella. They're very much on par there. Bass quality very good, but the bass quantity there is much more, and the quality is better as well in terms of its resolution, of its resolvingness, of the ability to, you know, get out of the way complicated tracks. It does it very well. And then in terms of the treble, the treble and definitely better on the Estrella. There you have it, guys. Compare then very briefly with the rest. I mean, it's not even fair to make maybe one or two of these comparisons, because it is so different. It's so let's say, um, I'm trying to find the best word. It's just when you have things like I've mentioned before, when you have things which are so stand out here and that are really so nicely tuned, this by comparison can sound like a poor execution, but it isn't. It's a nice tuning that's non-offensive at the end of the day. That's the reality. But for example, if I take this and I compare it to the Dos Cinco, I would take the Dos Cinco over this. This compared to the Arete. To be truthful, even with the negative aspects that the Soundrhyme has, I think I would probably would still opt for the Soundrhyme. It has enough on the rest of the frequency range to justify it. But maybe the Thai would be the best option as compared to the Cinco Tres. This is neutral. This is by comparison V-shaped, so totally different. Same thing goes with the Cadenza. With the Pilgrim is a bit IM. With the EM10, definitely a bit IM. QTX very similar compared to the Blessing 3. The fact that it's got that extra bass here does overall give a more balanced performance. So compared to the Hype 4 is definitely a bit IM. The X is a bit IM. The Dunu is a bit IM for the same value even on top of that, and the H60 again a bit IM. So it's a nicely done IM, but perhaps, like I was saying, it would have been a good idea to have added those switches there to just help tame a little bit more that upper mids and treble, and maybe by doing that, then it would have kind of solved its minor issues that it has, and that's that. Okay, and then finally, the ISN H60 again. ISN, a brand that I personally very much like. I'm a very big fan of ISN products. I own all of them to date. I'm not saying this to boast about it. It's just that I like them, so I've been lucky enough to be able to purchase them. So I've bought all of them up to date. It's got that typical Penon house sound, although as of late both Penon and ISN have kind of slightly given a little bit different nuance to that sound. And now, what is that Penon house sound? It's a very organic, very old school, very musical type of sound, where the mids are the focus, and then you have great bass, and the extension up top is just enough. The first time I heard the H60, I was immediately reminded of the Penon, the Voltage. And I would even go as far as saying that this is like a mini Voltage. If you cannot afford the $1,000 plus of the Voltage, then this will definitely be a very sensible choice if you like the Penon ISN house sound to start with, and if you like the way that the Voltage maybe sounded. If you had the opportunity to listen to it, this will sound very much the same thing. Where it loses to the Voltage is that it doesn't have ultimately the same level of polish, the same level of technical capability, the same level of detail up top. But overall, the feeling, the vibe that you get is very similar. Bass, beautifully executed. I mean, it's not as bassy as the Estrella. Okay, let's make that perfectly clear. But it's got that bass that surprises you. You listen to the H60, and as you change songs and as you're listening to songs, I wasn't expecting this to keep up as well with this song. Like let's say Analog from Soul Persona, or Sweat from JK Remix, Elephant from Carol Duboc. These are just some examples of from Dust to Door from George Duke. Beautiful. I mean, it's got more than enough bass energy to convey any of these songs the right, that deserve the reality. Or then if I go the complete opposite way, and if I go for something like, for example, this feel from Vince the DJ, which is a kind of an EDM, more electronic styled bass. Beautiful. It's got more than enough. Mids, flawless. In my opinion, mids, nothing to be said there. Very chilled, very relaxed, very organic, very musical, very real. Male and female vocals, they sound very real. And then, as is usually the fashion with, like I said, with Penon and ISN, the upper mids and treble are there in the right amount of quantity to make justice to the rest of the frequency range. Going back and forth between the Estrella, for example, and the H60, and I'm mentioning this because I've read people comparing them and saying that the Estrella is better, and this is no, the Estrella is not better. The Estrella is different. So it ultimately depends, and that's why I did that I mentioned that in the beginning of the review. Yes, there are IEMs here that maybe just sound inferior overall to the rest. In the case of the Soundrhyme, case of the QTX, case of the Blessing 3, but it's not that they sound bad. With regards here to the H60, the H60 has been tuned in a different manner to what is the tuning style of the Estrella. So if you like a very pronounced technical IEM, then the Estrella will definitely be the one to go for. If you like a highly technical IEM but done in a more old-fashioned style of way, in a more organic manner, then the H60 is your one, is the one. So I can't say, oh no, the Estrella is better than this, or this is better than that. No. Bass, like I said, beautifully done, very, very well tuned. Mids, beautifully done as well. Highs, upper mids and treble, more relaxed, more chilled, along the lines of the Penon style. Technically, ultimately, with the last little twinkly and sparkly and so on and so forth, yes, the Estrella will be a little bit more capable there, as will be the DaVinci. But it's not huge day and night differences that I would consider deal breakers for me, at least. Okay, it's just, like I said, different styles, different tuning styles. There are IEMs here which are more technically inclined, or IEMs here which are more organically, musically inclined, and it's as simple as that. There's no need for vocals, male and female vocals are exceptional on the H60. I can't really point anything negative in that aspect. They both are really good. Timbre and tonality, phenomenal. It's my style of timbre and tonality. And then, like as I've already mentioned, technically, the soundstage is good. The detail retrieval is good. The resolution is good. Okay, if I want a little bit extra, okay, the Estrella and the Dunu will edge it out. But it's to be totally honest and fair, because I try to be as fair as possible. You can't go wrong with any one of the three if you are a person that likes a wide variety of tuning styles. If you have a very fixed style of tuning, for example, if you do not like too much bass, then the Estrella might not be the ideal. The H60 would probably be the better choice. If you do not like too much treble, then the H60 might be a more sensible choice as compared to the Estrella and the DaVinci. If you do like details galore, if you do like that sensation of a very grand sound, then the Estrella will give you that. Definitely. Not that the H60 or the DaVinci won't be able. They will, but this does have more that feeling of a very big sound. What more can I say? Not really much more than I can say. As compared now with the H60 with the rest of the IEMs, I mean, the comparison I'm going to do is very much the same comparison like I did with the SR9 and I did as well with the Estrella. There are IEMs here which are noticeably different and preferences here, but others not so much. Compared this with the Simgot 3, I prefer the H60 as compared to the Simgot 3. It's got that same style, vibe of relaxed, but it's got just a little bit more energy to make it less boring. Okay, DOS Cinco, I prefer the H60 to the DOS Cinco, but it's more closer. There's a closer feel here between the two of them. Compared with the Arete, I just feel that this is a better IM than the Arete, as it's just more polished, more elegant. Compared to the SR9, definitely more polished than the SR9. Compared with the Cadenza 4, the Cadenza 4 is good, but it sounds also relaxed and so on, but it's just comparatively a little bit boring sometimes, and you notice that more with a little bit more higher energy songs, where that is just more chilled. The nice thing about here the H60, and it's not the first time that it happens with ISN or Penon products, is they seem to very much come alive the more power you give them. While some IMs, the more power you give them, they kind of start struggling, or you start feeling that the IM is on its toes. Something which kind of happens a little bit, for example, with the SR9, by the way. Over here, you feel that everything is very effortless, and the more power you give it, the more it grows, the more it comes alive. That sensation as well of things maybe not being on or starting to become a little bit on the edge. You get that feeling sometimes with the Arete on some songs. You get that feeling as well with the Blessing 3, while for example on something like the DaVinci, that never happens. Again, you give it power and it grows. The same thing goes for the Pilgrim. Same thing goes for the EM10. It's the IMs that, because of the way that they've been tuned, maybe a little bit more chilled out. When you give them power, the way they scale is very good and balanced, and actually improves on the overall performance of the IM. I would even say that technically the H60 sounds more capable at slightly higher volumes than it does at low volumes. Compared to the Pilgrim, they very much trade blows. Honestly, they very much trade blows. EM10, I would say the EM10 maybe with specific genres, like maybe with something like rock, might be a little bit more proficient than the H60, might be more capable. But again, look, I don't listen to a lot of rock. I listen to more, jazz, pop, some classic. I listen to some now I listen to also EDM, and they again trade blows. Honestly, I think that's the better option here. Is they trade blows. It's the price here that's going to be more deciding factor compared to the QTX. The QTX is like I said already before, capable IM, sounds great, sounds fantastic, but it falls in the same kind of category as the SR9. It needed a little bit extra mojo there to make it stand out compared to the Blessing 3. Better IM than the Blessing 3. The Blessing 3 is very vocal centric, yes, but it lacks then that energy low down to complement things nicely. Compared to the Hype 4, the H60 again trades blows with the Hype 4, although they've got some similarities in the sound. Look, they trade blows. They're very similar, kind of the give and take. Compared to the X, the Tansio Mirai, similar sound philosophy. After all, Tansio Mirai also comes from Penon and ISN. I think the fact that we've got switches here ultimately give the little bit extra tuning versatility, the edge on the X, and maybe the X might be a more sensible choice if you like playing around with that aspect. And then the Dunu compared with the H60 is very much the same situation as with the Estrella. Detailed, but look, as I said earlier, if I could only choose 3 IMs out of all of these IMs, and trust me, this was definitely not an easy choice to do. H60 would be one of them, Dunu would be one of them, and the Estrella would be one of them. Okay, a second batch of IMs that I would choose as my next choices would be the EM10, the X, and the DaVinci. This would be the second batch of IMs I would choose, and then after that I would choose the Hype 4, the Cadenza, the Cinco Tres, the remaining of the IMs. But the first 3 and I mean the first 3 and the first 6, there's not much difference between them. Trust me, there's really not much difference. Different nuances of tuning, fair enough, but there's really not that much difference. But the first 3 IMs that I would choose: Estrella, H60, and DaVinci, without a doubt. And that's it, guys. I hope I was able to clarify doubts, shed some light on what the Soundrhyme, the SR9, the ZIIGAT Estrella and the ISN H60 are all about, and compare them with some other IMs that are selected here. Or again, if there are some other comparisons that you would like me to have done, please let me know. But you know, the reality is this. I mean, Estrella, phenomenal IM, very well done. I mean, definitely my hats off to ZIIGAAT, and without a doubt, and I say this without any hesitation, if I have to mention two collaborators that have done decent, truly standout products, ZIIGAAT and GIS Audio. I mean, I gain absolutely nothing from saying this about them. I've never spoken with Timmy. I've spoken once or twice with Jay. You know, so it's not like we are great buddies and I'm endorsing them or anything of the sort. I'm just endorsing, or I'm just talking about their products. And the reality is, be it the DaVinci or be it the Estrella, they are phenomenal products, phenomenal. And then the H60 as well ticks all the right boxes. Maybe there is a little bit of a bias here because I'm a big fanboy of ISN and Penon and Cancio Mirai as well. But the H60, honestly, it is a really nice IM. If again there's anything that I would have liked to maybe have seen in the case here of the H60 and maybe here as well the Estrella, just for that added, let's say, versatility. Maybe if they had added a switch here to give it a little bit of a fine tune to the overall signature, it could have been a positive idea. But look, Penon has been tuning their IMs for the last 10 years at least. They know what they're doing, so they don't need me to tell them what to do, you know. And ZIIGAAT seems to be also more than capable and proficient in doing tuning, and that's it. So I'm not gonna carry on rambling here, guys. I'll show you now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for this mega review with the Estrella, the H60 and the SR9. This is the graph straight away for the Estrella. I think the graph is very much self-explanatory. We're talking about a base gain of roughly 12 dBs, a Penon gain of about, so we have 83, about 8 dBs, 9 dBs. That extra emphasis on the bass is below 100, so it's not a problem because it's going to emphasize that rumble section, let's put it that way. But then there's no bleed into the mids that is detrimental for the reproduction, and you know, that cloud or muddy things in any manner. So perfect. Loads of extension past 10K, so loads of detail up top there. I will say that with the stock tip, I was getting a little bit more of a bump here. So with the DaVinci Velvet, I was actually able to plateau this ever so slightly. And I mean, I think the graph speaks very much for itself. It's you know, it's there. Okay, now compared with the Arete and with the Dos Cinco and with the Cinco Tres, because I think those are the main ones that ultimately you guys will want to see things compared with. So compared here with the Arete, it's this one. Let me just change color here of the Arete. Let me make it red so you guys can actually see it better. Okay, compared with the Arete, this part here between, let's say, 300 and about 7K is very similar, very much the same sort of extension. Bass is being dropped ever so slightly, and this difference here, so we're talking about roughly a 3 dB difference here, can be attributed to the fact that we get one single driver, two drivers, and then I'm using the H570 tips on the Arete. Like I said earlier, the Arete sounds very nice. I mean, it's not that it sounds bad or anything of the sort. It just sounds less polished. You know, it's it's basically the same thing as the Estrella, as you guys can see. But the reality is, you listen to one and you listen to the other, and yes, there are differences that can be perceived. Mind me, bless me. The next one I'm going to put up here is the Simgot 3. And the Simgot 3, you can definitely see what I mentioned as well, which is it's very chill, very relaxed, not the same sort of bass, although it's also dual driver. You got the spin again that picks you at 3, and then things just drop off after that. So no way is it as detailed in the upper mids and treble as the Estrella. It's noticeable. It's a more smoother presentation. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not better or worse. It's for different crowd of people. And then finally, the DaVinci, which I personally think that maybe, I could be wrong, mind you, I could be wrong, but I kind of think that the DaVinci was probably where a lot of the basis for this Estrella was fetched. It's got the exact same bass performance. It's just got less detail up top. So actually, if I was gonna just quickly throw in here the Arete once again, let me just change it to green. I would almost say, and I could be wrong, that it seems like the Arete and the DaVinci, they had a child, and that child was the Estrella. It's obviously, this is just me joking around here, but I don't think I will be too far off when I say that perhaps the DaVinci served as the basis for the bass for the Estrella. I mean, it's identical. It's, at least the units I have, it is identical. And when I listen to one and the other, they sound exactly the same. And then in terms of the execution up top, the execution of the Arete and of the Estrella is also very, very, very similar. Although, and I'll repeat, I'll have to give the edge to the Estrella by being just more elegant and more well executed. Okay. Compared here to some of the other IEMs, I'm not going to take you through everything. Oh, I can take you through everything, not a problem. Let's go here, the cadenza. Looking at it this way, you don't think, okay, but the cadenza is definitely more focused on the mids, and as far as the mids are concerned, I would say that they are very much the same. But then the Estrella just has that extra amount of energy up top, and you notice it, and it also has that significant amount more bass, which again you notice it. So the Pilgrim, let me show you now the Pilgrim, and let me just change it quickly, the color, make it red as well, or some other color that will stand out, mind you. Very similar, as you can see. I mean, there's not that huge big difference in terms of the graph, and audibly a lot of similarities again, a lot of similarities. The Estrella ultimately does have just that little extra amount more of detail and so on and so forth, but in terms of the bass, they're very, very similar, although there is that the difference in the driver count and driver size. But honestly, I can't. Estrella is just a little extra, but it's not a huge day and night difference. Okay, compared with the Simgot, and this is another one that's was quite interesting. Let me just change the color here of the Simgot again, make it red so it just stands out better. It's actually interesting because not only does the Simgot have a whole bunch of drivers and it has that PZT as well and everything, but you would think that they would have the same sort of presentation up top, and it doesn't. They don't. And I think it's down to the fact that by using multiple BAs like they have done Simgot, they actually are able to keep the BAs being very chilled out in their working spectrum, and so it just sounds very smooth. The EM10 sounds very smooth comparatively to the Estrella. beautifully done bass as well. I mean, there's a slight more amount of bass on the Estrella side, but it's not really in the bass where you see the difference. Where you perceive the difference is up top, okay, where visually you wouldn't think that, but up top you feel that the Estrella's got just that little extra amount, okay, of details. With the Blessing 2, let me just put here quickly, the Blessing 2. With the Blessing 2, the bass is much leaner than what it seems, and by being much leaner than what it seems, it emphasizes this area of the upper mids and the treble, and you know, it sounds more mid-focused. Now, purely on a comparison of mids of one and the other, so the Estrella with the Blessing, I can't say that the Estrella is better. No, it isn't better. It's they are both you know, trading blows there. It's then the way that things are put together. It's the coherency that comes from behind of the bass that complements then the mids and the upper mids. And in the Estrella, it's just been done that extra a little bit more energetic, and it just sounds overall just more grandeur. More, it gives the Blessing sounds like a big sound but lean, while the Estrella is a big sound but full. Okay. Let me see what else would be interesting. Oh, the rose techniques, just for the sake of you guys also seeing what the rose techniques is all about in terms of graph. Okay, this is the rose techniques. You know, visually one graph and the other, okay, you think, all right, this maybe might sound, but no, the rose techniques is just not on the same league. It's a good sounding IM, it's nice, but it's just not on the same league. Let me see here, what else? Oh, the Hype 4, this is a good one as well. Hype 4, again, very much like the EM10, that they graph so similar that you would think that they would sound similar. And they have a lot of similarities, but the Estrella has that extra amount of detail up top, which I at least can pick up between one and the other. I can identify quite easily the Estrella over the Hype 4, or the Estrella over the Simgot. You know, it's actually quite interesting how these three IMs, the Simgot, the EM10, the Estrella, and the Hype 4, all graph so close, and they all have very distinct types of sound. Okay. All right. And let me see what else. The Dunu DaVinci, definitely, yes, definitely need to show you that one. Again, as you can see, very similar style of graph, bass, mids, everything. It's just that little extra energy that the Estrella has here in this 4, 5, 6 area, and you know, it just gives it a little bit more that space, but as I've mentioned before, it's at a cost of maybe, or could perceivably be taken by some as being a little bit you know, over energetic and fatiguing and so on. The truth is, I like the DaVinci better than the Estrella in this department, because it just sounds more tonally and timbre wise, it sounds more correct. That's the only reason. But otherwise, again, once more, very similar, as you can see. Okay, let me see if there's anything else here worthwhile more. Oh yes, the SR9. There we go. SR9, again, by looking at the graph, you'd think they would sound very similar, but they don't. I mean, the SR9 is an 8mm driver, so although graphically it seems like it's got the same sort of bass, no, it doesn't. It's got good bass, surprising bass for an 8mm without doubt, but it's not the same sort of bass. And then the rest of the spectrum as well, although seems like similar. No, oh my god, the Estrella has just got that extra more amount of polish. It's just been a bit implementation. That's it. It's not huge differences, but it's just a bit implementation. Since I do have the SR9, let me just quickly show you the graph of the SR9. This is with the Simgot, the 10i5 foam tips, and this is with the silicone tip. And it's actually interesting because graphically you don't see a big difference, but audibly you notice that with the silicone tip, that harshness or that lack of polish, and I'm being hard in the usage of my words, although it's not that bad as you know, might sound. The foam tip really is the way to go. in my opinion. The silicones don't allow or don't give you know, the right timbre tonality to this equation. So I personally think that that's not the wisest option. And then, I mean, just for the sake of comparison, I mean, the SR9, like I said, it's got a sound which is more along the lines of the QTX number 13. Yes, exactly, there we go, number 13. Let me just change the color of this. Let me just make it blue for the sake of, okay. These two IEMs sound surprisingly more similar than what you would think. The QTX from Rose Techniques and the SR9 from Soundrhyme. The difference that you see in the bass is down to the fact that one is an 8mm, which is the SR9, and the QTX, which is a 10mm. But they sound very, very, very similar. Okay, very similar. And then finally here, the ISN, the H60. So that you guys can see what I meant about the voltage, let me just quickly get you here the Penon voltage. Penon, there we go, Penon voltage. Alright, there we go, that's the Penon voltage. I think it's self-explanatory. I don't need to go into much more details. Penon voltage and H60, very similar graph-wise, and a lot of similarities in the sound. The voltage does sound more detailed, and the resolution and the resolveness of everything of the sound up top is definitely noticeable because of the fact that they're using ESTs. So that's why I said the H60 is a cheap, or rather, let me rephrase that once again, is a more obtainable alternative to having a sound which is very much like the sound of the voltage, but at a significantly less value. I mean, that's the truth. As for the H60 in a little bit more detailed, I mean, what can we say here negative? I mean, we're talking about a 7 dB gain here roughly for the bass, about a 6 dB gain for the mids. Beautifully done. This little dot here, I don't really notice it. I mean, it's a very chilled out, relaxed, progressive Penon. Peaks here at like 4.5 and then carries on. Honestly, very, very, very nice. When I compare it to the Estrella, there's similarities, as you can obviously see. Very similar in the execution here, just more energy on the level of the Estrella, and that's why the Estrella sounds more in your face, because it's got more energy there. Definitely the bass, you notice that there's substantially more bass energy, not bass quality. And up top past the 7-8K area, yes, the Estrella's got a lot more twinklies and sparklies, although the twinklies and sparklies that are present on the H60 are more than adequate and are ultimately more realistic. You could argue that the amount of detail that you have on the Estrella can be perceived as maybe just a little bit too enthusiastic, and just a little bit over the top. But like I said, it will all be dependent. It will all be dependent on each one, and how the IM fits, and what kind of music you like listening to, and so on. And that's it, guys. I mean, I don't think I can add much more to the equation. We've seen and you've heard what I've had to say about these three IMs and how they stack up against the competition. The truth is this, and I think the graphs now have shown that, and what I said earlier as well kind of also further compounded what I was saying, is that they are not huge day and night differences, guys. I mean, that's the truth. Yes, you can pick up on differences here and there, but they are not huge day and night differences. And you take like the Estrella here, and I take something like the oh my, where did I put it now? I take something like there we go, like the Simgot, the EM10. I mean, however fantastic and amazing the Estrella is, who tells me, or who's going to tell me that you as an individual might not take the Estrella, put it in your ears, and you don't get that same sort of magic that I get, and you get that magic from the EM10? That's the truth. graphically, as you can see, they are very equal, and they both sound phenomenal. Now, to my ears, the Estrella sounds more detailed, there's more twinklies and sparklies. And the other situation, which is again very similar to this situation, is the situation of the Dunu. Let me just quickly get it here. Dunu, where is it? There we go, number 15. The Dunu, once again, is another IM that graphically very similar here to the Estrella. You know, these are differences that will be very hard to pick up. And you know, you listen to one and listen to the other, again, who's to say you're going to get the same experience? And that applies both ways, both to the DaVinci, both to the Estrella. We are living a market, as I've said countless times before, we are living a period in the market where the IMs, they all are very good sounding. They all are, for the most part, very well tuned. So the differences that will exist are minor differences, are going to be differences in terms of how polished, how well executed that it's been done, you know, value for money, price versus what you're getting, what you're offering. And in that department, things like the Tensor Mirai, the 10th, like I mentioned before, it's the one IEM here that when you look at it in the aspect of tunability and what you can change and not change, it's the standout, you know, definitely. You can adjust the sound to a very high degree and get at least 3 types of IEMs from one single IEM. That obviously, you know, has its merits. And that's it, guys. I hope I was able to help. Like I said before, any questions, please feel free to ask me. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.